Okay, so this is page 5. That's the wrong pen. That's what that is. Let's get a pen that people can actually read. All right, page 5. This is similar to what's on page 4, except that we had to jump through another hoop here. Not too bad. Okay, we'll set this up exactly the same as we did before. And you'll remember that we know how much it is per unit, but we don't know how many units. So we're going to say that X equals didn't come out very well. X equals units. All right. So the first one is, we don't know how many units there are, but we know that each one sells for $50. That was a little bit trickier, and that is the variable cost per unit is 70% of the sale price. All right, well, what we can do is take 70% of the 50, and that'll tell us what the variable cost per unit are. So we'll take $50 times, remember 70% if you move it over to 0.70, over 2 decimals. If you have a good calculator, you can probably just put it in. All right, so So this is going to be $35. So the variable costs are going to be $35 each. Fixed costs are 300,000. And our income at break even is 0. All right, so let's see here. So this will be no, cost will be no, let's use that. Like fixed cost income. Oops. And then we just solve for X. $50X minus 35X is 15X. Get all the numbers on one side, so we want to get this 300,000 on the other side. We'll add 300 to each side. And I'm just gonna get these two closer together. Divide both sides by 15. And that will tell us how many units we need. All right, so let's see. 300,000 divided by 15 was 20,000. So 20,000 units, that would be the break-even point in sales. And if we want to get those into dollar amounts, we can multiply this by $50, and that's going to equal $1 million. Again, this is very much like the other one. The only thing is we have that one more hoop to jump through, and that is changing this into a dollar amount. And we're going to do the same thing down here. Now, down here, everything is exactly the same. The only thing that changes is the income. The income color. So here's the income for this one. Again, everything else is exactly the same, except for that. So this will be exactly the same. 50x minus 55x minus 300,000. And the only thing that changes is this. Now we want. And again, so this up here is if you want to break even, if you want to just make zero income. Down here says, well, we don't want to make zero income. We want to make some profit on this. So how much would it, how much would it take for us to make 150,000? So everything here is the same except for that. I did that wrong. My color coordination scheme is now all askew. All right, well, do these other ones right. So let's do this one. That one. And okay. Notice, I mean, even these are all the same. Plus 300,000. Oops. This over here is going to be more just because we have to add the 150 plus the 300,000. Oops, that comes out to 450,000. That's a 4. Okay, so I'm gonna get these a little bit closer. So take $30,000 to get this kind of an income. I said wrong. 30,000 units to get this kind of income. And so you might ask, well, what is it in dollar sales? Well, in dollar sales, it would be times $50. 30,000. That's what you. And this is the same as the sales up here on the top. So the same 50 units. And so on. Okay, page 6. By the way, you probably figured this out, but the numbers are exactly the same thing as the pages. So this is page 6. And we're just going to say $15 times 70%. It's 1050. Oh, this looks pretty straightforward. Okay. can basically be the setup for both of these. Again, fixed costs don't change, but they're fixed. So now it's just going to be a matter of okay, so that's going to be a matter of solving for those. All right. Okay, page 7 is what if you. Page 7 is, well, what if you don't know exactly what the selling price is? Or maybe you have a bunch of products together. You sell a number of different products, but they all have the same markup. Uh, how do you do the break in for those? Well, you can actually just take the percentages. If you just want the dollar sales, you can just take the percentages and plug those into our equation. That's what we're going to do. There's other ways to do this, but that's probably the most direct way to do it. Now, we don't know exactly how many units they're going to be because they don't tell us how much it is per unit. But we can use these percentages to get the dollar sales. And so what we really come up with is sort of X equals a imaginary unit. It's a it's sort of a unit we're just making up because we just need to get the dollar sales, but we can do it using an imaginary unit for it. Again, there's other ways to do this, but I'll show you the way that usually has the least confusion for most students. Okay, same thing as before. And I'm just going to take the percentages. And now from this, we just solve it for X. I'm just getting these closer. Okay, so kind of keeping with the color scheme we had before. Just took the percentages and put them in. As if they were the dollar sales. Now, this is going to come up with some units, but these are going to be imaginary units. These are not really going to be the units that, because we don't know what the units are. Or this may not even have units. This could be a service business. This might be landscaping, where your costs are 65% of, whatever you charge them. So if you charge them $100, you're paying out $65. So it could be that these are for a service too. Okay, so this is 4,000 imaginary units. Now we're gonna multiply them by what would be our selling price. And that will give us our dollar sales. So 4,000 times 100 equals I'll show you. I'll show you what this is really telling us here. So what this is telling us is this: our sales for break even would have to be 400,000. Our variable costs are the 400,000 times the 65%. It's 0.65. Okay, so let's see. 400,000 times 0.65. Minus the fixed cost. Equals 0. That would be our income. The book uses the term operating income. That's a little bit of a misnomer, but operating income. But if you just use income, the idea is the same. So this is what it's telling us. We had to sell 400,000. Again, it could be units. It could just be services to break even. And again, just doing it by the percentages, it's not that. And we do the same thing down there. So this is the same. All right, so this would equal, Mr. Calculator. Oops. 210,000 divided by 35. Imaginary units. Times 100. What's that? And again, the imaginary units are just kind of a stand-in. There's other ways to do it. You could change this from 100% down to, to make it into a decimal be 1. This should be 0.65. And you do it. The problem with using decimals, sometimes people get confused on them, which is why I just throw in the whole number. Okay. Page A is exactly the same, but you don't have to do page A if you don't want to. I do it. I'll just to give you an idea though. The selling percentage will always be 100% on that one. So if you use 100%, variable cost percentage, 75% of what would be the selling price, and then you just work it exactly what we did there. It's a little bit repetitive, but we'll go to the one that's more difficult. This is probably one of the most difficult ones in the chapter. Okay. This is a case in which you have two different products that are being made in the same factory. So you have a production line that's making the standard ones and a production line that's making the deluxe ones, and they're made in the same factory. The problem is the fixed costs. The selling price and the variable costs, those aren't too bad to, you can figure those out for each one of these. These are the problem. The fixed costs, how much do you apply to each? And the problem is from here. 3 standard units are sold for every 1 deluxe unit. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. And let me put this foot. I'll put the problem up here. Our fixed costs for this plant are $100,000. And we're making both standard and deluxe, whatever these are. Standard deluxe, toasters or umbrellas or whatever it is. So we have these fixed costs. And this is for both of them. You know, that's a total, but you know, they're both made in this exact same factory. We're paying the rent once a month. And we don't split up the rent between standard and deluxe. It is just one rent check. So the question is, well, how much of it goes for each one of these? And we also have that there's a mix. You have 3 standard for every 1 deluxe. So you might say, well, let's just take half of those. You know, you have half to the standard, half to the deluxe. Well, if you did that, you probably wouldn't end up with this mix. You might just out of dumb luck end up with it, but it very well could be not. All right. So the question is, how do we split these up? And it's a 2-step process. Step 1. This is for fixed costs. Find the profit. Okay. So this profit will be the same thing as contribution margin. So we have standard and deluxe. Okay, so let's take the standard one. The standard one, they're selling at $25 each, minus the variable cost per unit. So you got a profit of $5. So we'll make these ones yellow. Okay, so this is for the standard. I gotta do something here. Hold on. Let's higher. Oh, that don't be enough. Yeah, let's go with that and see what happens. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing for the deluxe. So here's the deluxe. Okay. So that's step 1. Step 2 is multiply the profit times the mix. And the mix is this up here. This is the mix. So it's called the marketing mix. Okay, so we have standard and deluxe. We have the profit. Of 5 and 10, and I should probably mark those. Let's see which one of these is lighter. Okay, so here's our profit. You could also just extend it out there. And our mix is 3 to 1. And so we come up with this, and we make the total of 25. And this is what we're going to use to split up. And so this will be profit times mix. That's a T. It's supposed to be an R. So this is profit times mix. I mean, I goofed that up, but so it's profit times mix, and then you add them up. And so here's how we're going to use this. Of these fixed costs, the standard is going to get 25. It's going to get 15 of the 25. That's how much of these fixed costs are going to go to the standard. The deluxe will be 10 of the 25. And that's how much they're going to get. The easiest way to do this is just take the 100,000 times 15, divide by 25. You could also do this first and then multiply it, but it doesn't matter. I'm sure you guys know how to do that. And you do the same thing for the deluxe. Now, quite honestly, if you knew that 60 was for the standard, you'd know that the other. So these are going to be the fixed costs for the standard. This will be the fixed cost for the deluxe. Here. All right. Well, so what would be the break even? Well, let's take the standard first. I'm going to abbreviate sales minus variable cost minus fixed costs equals income. Okay, so selling price for the standard would be the standard fixed cost is 60,000. So I have another here. Let's see. How dark is that? Let's take a look here. They're even worse. All right, let's see here. Marker that won't obliterate what I'm trying to do. Now, all right, I'll use this one then. So this is the, oh, that looks terrible, but that's the 60,000. Brilliant. All right, so anyway, we solve it for that. So this will be 5x plus 60,000 on each side. It's 12,000 units. Dollar sales will be times $25. The standard, and we'll do the same thing for the deluxe. Oh, what's this? That's what I should be using. All right, so this is okay. Do the same thing. 10x. It's 4,000. I put these in backwards. I'm sorry. Oh, that's stupid. Where's my eraser? Let's try this again. Wrong spot. Okay, I'm sorry. The standard was 12,000 times 25. The deluxe was 4,000. Times 48. They're 92,000. So these are, let me change these. So this would be that. And the standard would be that. So this is the really hard part. This is the part. This is the part of the problem that's hard. These are the same as we've done, whatever, 5, 6, 7 times. So these are. This is actually fairly easy. You're just going to take whatever you get for those two. And put them in. Okay, we're going to stop here. Nothing for next week to turn in. We're going to finish this up next week. And the reason I'm stopping here is there's no way I'm going to get through the rest of these right now. So we'll stop on page 9. And next week we'll continue. This is actually a pretty important and big chapter, so we're going to spend a little more time on it. Arguably, it's the most important one in the book, but or at least in this class. So we'll spend some more time on this. So, you have any questions?
No.
Okay. And yeah, so we'll continue next week. So hold on to the handout, and we'll start up again next week. Okay.
All right.
All right.
Have a good night.
Yeah, we will. You too.